Okay, so maybe you could just introduce yourself and tell me who you are.
Yeah,
What
well,
you do.
my name is Jules and I reside in Caledonia. I came out here to do some fly fishing and basically retired. And then all hell broke loose.
And what was your reaction when the reclamation happened?
Well, I just thought it's terrible to see a people to go through that extent before they can be heard, you know, for the justice and what they own. They, you know, what they're. It's unbelievable that in this 21st century that we have to go to these lengths to get what is coming to people, justice and what's rightfully theirs. And all the trials and tribulations they've been through already, you think that our government would have been more sensitive and learned. And I thought we'd evolve, but apparently we haven't.
What kind of ties do you have to people in Six Nations?
Well, my father is Blackfoot, my mother's French. My ties are. I've always had a feeling of, although that I was educated as a white man in white society, I always had a soft spot or a certain feeling about the Aboriginals. I liked my father's people. They were soft and easygoing, even-tempered, loving. Yeah. And my dad always enjoyed nature. That's where he was at his best, in the bush. Although that he worked in the mainframe of white society, contracting in Welland for a big contract builder by the name of Lester Schultz. But when you gave him a gun and a license to hunt, that's where he was at his finest. He could be out there for 3 days without eating. It was the hunt that he loved. You could see it was natural for him. Yeah.
And so what happened when you were living in Caledonia when the reclamation started, and what did you notice from, like, how have people in Caledonia dealt with this?
Well, I was amazed at the attitude of some of the individuals here. I could not possibly even conceive of the way that they were acting towards the natives. They've taken so much, and then the attitude of them, the audacity of these Indians, these Aboriginals, to want their land. It was all, oh, look at this and look at that, and there they go again, and so on and so on. You could see the racism, the ambiguity against that particular race. I thought that was all over with. I mean, I'm 61 years old in April. I was, during the 60s, active to see that the blacks in the South would be getting their fair treatment because of the terrible things that went on. I couldn't believe that other people could do that to each other. And I thought that by that time that we had evolved, but apparently we didn't. I was quite surprised that even an organization, a group of people would get together to condemn, allow the government to settle this, to bring the army, the threats of this kind of stuff against people that unharmed. All they wanted was their land back. And terrible slanderous language was used. You know. So I joined Community of Friends. see what we could do in our own little way. Better than standing there and doing nothing, or just sitting back and letting things happen. You have to take a stand somewhere. I can't see how we call ourselves just and have a judicial system that's supposed to be justice, where it's evident that, well, there's many, many occasions that you see right across this country. I'm sure people have heard about it. Yeah.
What have been some of the bright spots that you've seen in working with community friends?
Well, what I really enjoy about it, and what I see is so positive, is that there's a group of people there that are non-native that actually care, and they want to see justice done, at least the due process of justice. Now, doesn't mean the Aboriginals are right, but doesn't mean they're wrong. But for some reason or other, it's automatically they're wrong. And what with the community of friends, I see them, this group, almost trying to get the judicial system to say, give them an even break. Give them a fair trial. Give them a fair shake. Just treat them as you would treat your own child. That's all we ask, not anymore. Not any less. I see this group doing this. This is positive. Only good can come out of it. This is not a negative group. It's a positive group. They want to see change just for the good, not for the bad. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure what's wrong. You know?
Would you say that all people in Caledonia are following the line of the CCA, or?
Oh God, no. Thank the Lord for that. The majority of Caledonians. By the way, this community has been intermarried with the Aboriginals. There's a lot of blood here that's outside the res. Mixed blood. It's a community that's been torn apart. Lack of action from the governments, provincial and federal, have caused a lot of this. This could have been avoided. The sale of land in the first place, with a claim that was put there 22 years ago, should have never been allowed. That was the start. And I guess these people got fired, just tired of it. Just tired. They wouldn't take anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
Just give me a second. I'm gonna see if I can turn it down a bit. Hey guys, do you mind turning the music down just a tiny bit? Thanks.
Are those kids acting up again?
So what, can you maybe say a little bit about how do you think people in the community react or feel about somebody like Gary McHale who's coming in from outside?
Well, even those that are pro or anti-native, they really can't swallow McHale. That's how they find him way overboard. I guess there's all kinds of degrees of racism, but there's only so much you can take. I have a neighbor, her son is in our CMP, and she's been in this community for a good 20 odd years. And she's quite a character, but she's even herself said that Mr. McHale's a little bit over the top. It's almost like resurrecting George Wallace from the South, which you could see the bigotry and the hatred and what to gain by it. I mean, we have to learn to live side by side, like brothers and sisters, because nothing good comes out of hatred. Nothing. No prosperity, war, death. That's all you get out of hatred. I've never seen anything good come out of hatred. And this is what Mr. McHale spreads. What is this inside? You could see the attitude, the mentality, the way the man comes out with the words, the way he forms them, and the way he forms his sentences. You could see there's bigotry there and hatred. I feel sorry for him. I really do.
Do you think there's a difference that old-time members of the town have in regards to their attitudes with the people from Six Nations versus new people here? Or how do the divisions in the community break down in terms of how people feel?
To tell you the God's truth, I got a funny feeling. Some of these individuals that you're speaking of that are, and animosity is against the Six Nations, are somehow attached to previous land deals of some kind or other, or distant cousins or whatever from generations. And they've been brought up to, in their own way, to justify what they've done. And they continue to do this. To have a really good look in the mirror would be, I guess, too harsh. That's the only thing I can see. Because the majority of Caledonians are not bigots. They're not racist. They're hardworking, honest, tax-paying, law-abiding citizens. It only takes a rotten apple. And there's about 50 of them, I would say, are hardcore. We saw examples of that. And when McHale came around and they joined.
Okay, maybe let me get Vince to stop that. What do you think the way forward is, or how do you think that the divisions can be healed?
Personally, I think this is all political. It has to come from the government. They failed miserably, provincial and federal. And there is no way in God's green earth that the federal government seems to have any kind of inclination whatsoever in wanting to get this thing done and over with. It's just tomfoolery. Pardon me, Tom. But playing with people's lives here. The federal government has been doing this for hundreds of years. They've got to stop this nonsense. Well, I'm repeating myself, but I say that the majority of Caledonians are great old boys. And there's a lot, thank God, there's a lot of the citizens of this community that just doesn't buy this stuff that the McHale quote unquote and the Marie Traynor attitude and their indifference. I mean, these people need the same things we need. They have the same problems we have. But apparently, because you're an Aboriginal, well, you don't need clean running water. You don't need a decent house. You don't need decent schooling, decent clothes. The opportunities are not there. We saw that during the 60s in the South. In the United States, the way the blacks were treated. Well, now you got lawyers and doctors. And you have them in the Aboriginals. We have over 500 lawyers, 1,000 doctors now that are Aboriginal. So quite capable of learning. They're not Entretol. This is what, for hundreds of years, they've tried to portray this race as inferior. This is the old game. Hitler pulled it off. That kind of mentality. That's, sick. Very, very sick. We're all equals, but apparently, under the eyes of the law, in many instances, we're not.
Any last words you wanted to say? Anything upbeat?
Well, hopefully we get to our senses, vote this government out, and let's get somebody that's conscientious and do the right thing. And hope for the best.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Tom?
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.